I want to see the time difference between mullet and a full 29er. Actually, one thing I noticed, I could be sloppier with my breaking points, which is interesting because I felt pretty good on the top.
So is that episode 2?
I'm confused. I felt like I was overturning out of all the turns. And I don't know if I love it. Perhaps we already knew that though, but I had to find out for myself. Alright, welcome back. We are doing a day of testing here in Squamish, focusing on more bike handling than say like setup and suspension. So for me, I want to see the time difference between mullet and a full 29er. I've been riding the mullet most of the winter purely because it's super fun and I'm pretty comfortable on it, but I do not actually know if it's faster. And so what I want to do today is compare my times on a track that I know pretty well. It's a difficult track, but it's short enough that we can pedal laps of it and you can repeat yourself on it. You know, I hope the mullet is just so much faster, but I don't know if it will be. We're cruising up the road, gonna set up some free lap pulls for our first lap. Might not be a good track for say suspension testing, but I think it'll be a good track for like bike handling, which I'm looking to kind of figure out. I'm gonna do 2 laps on the mullet, which I run normally, and then 2 laps on the full 29er. Part of me hopes the mullet is just so much faster, but the clock will tell. So I did 2 laps on the mullet. I'm already pretty comfortable on it. So now I'm gonna swap over, change my flip chip, put my 29er rear wheel in, and then do 2 more laps. Sort of a warm-up lap and then a comparison. So what I like most about the mullet, I feel like I'm almost in a stronger body position on my bike, and say steps into a turn, I feel like I'm a bit more settled and planted on my bike, and then I'm able to push into that turn at the bottom harder. The only thing I'm not sure about, say like a flatter, bumpier section where you kind of want to roll through things, sometimes it feels like my rear wheel gets like hung up a little bit. And I'm interested to see if that's maybe the wheel or something I can do better with my suspension setup or something.
Or yourself.
Or myself. Yeah. No, it's never me. Yeah. It's never me. Rotor off. No Makita power drill though. Oops. Whew. Last week I took all the skin off my knuckles trying to take my cassette off.
And today?
I'm wearing gloves. I'm scared.
Just give me one. Just change the chips.
29. Arrow forward. Like that.
So this wheel is large?
It's a huge wheel.
When's the last time you rode a 29er?
Well, my 153 is a 29er.
When's the last time you rode this in a 29er?
What was our last EWS?
Finale.
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 I pretty much went mullet, I think, as soon as I got home.
And why is that?
I had the option.
And you just wanted to try it? Or
Try it. I run mullet on my downhill bike and I really like it. Actually, when I first got this bike, it was set up as mullet. It was our last enduro for Crankworks. And I really liked the way it handled, but I found that like on the pedally things, I was like really like getting like hung up. And so I was like, oh, it's just because it's a mullet or whatever. And I went 29. I didn't bring my mullet, my smaller wheel to Europe. And in Europe, I was like, I kind of wish I had a mullet right now. So then when I got home, I put it on to get more time on it.
And so you think that you'll do this testing on this track and maybe another track, you want to discover the one that you'll stick on for like the rest of, or do you think there's situations where you'll switch?
Yeah, I figure going to Europe, I'm going to bring both wheels, so I have both options. But I want to have more of like a concrete answer, whether this is going to sway me in one direction or the other. But so say I'm like, okay, I'm 1 second slower on the mullet, but I'm way more comfortable. Or I'm like 5 seconds faster on a 29er, and I'm not like, you know, it's not, the negatives don't outweigh that time advantage. I just want to know. Like,
so do you think there is a possibility that you'll stick on one setup or another if the time and your feelings match up?
If the time and the feelings match up and it's like an obvious advantage, I probably would just stick to that. But I don't feel confident right now because I'm just purely running on feeling. And my feelings can be all over the place sometimes, you know?
That's what times.
That's why we got the watches.
Yeah, cool.
Hopefully the free lap picks up. And we're off. Lap number 1 on the 29er. Actually, one thing I noticed, I could be sloppier with my braking points and be able to accelerate out of things or maintain speed. Felt like the similar effort, kind of.
What was the time?
1:34.74.
Wow, and the other one's like 1:37.
1:37.
Whoa. But to be fair, like second lap, like you only gonna kind of get quicker, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was like pushing that much harder. The thing I noticed the most is those flatter, chunky things. I was just able to like skim them or like accelerate out of them instead of like but maybe was more comfortable cornering on the mullet. And I hit my butt a few times, probably 3 times.
Another one, and you'll try to do the same, just kind of ride well at the same pace and see like if it's faster, same
feelings, and was
drum roll
1:35.88. Slower. I made like a couple like mistakes. Same thing, felt similar, trying to flow things. Actually felt really good at the top. Oh, see what my splits are. 1:35.88, 1:04.07. My second split is pretty much the same, and I was a second slower on the top, which is interesting because I felt pretty good on the top.
Like, where do you think the second?
That second
just a couple mistakes.
Yeah, I think it was probably just like being a bit sloppy on the braking, not carrying good speed out of corners.
But in terms of bike feel, like
it felt pretty good.
Felt
Again, good. It just felt like I could carry more consistent speed through the flatter, bumpier things.
And is this a trail that you were expecting the mullet to feel better on?
Honestly, yeah. Just because how it's like steppy and tight in places. I thought I would be just like way more nimble. What I was saying earlier was that I actually haven't tried full 29er on my new setup. And so that is an angle set in reverse to make my bike steeper and my short rear end. So I'd only ever ridden the full 29er as a 450 rear end, a 63.5 degree head angle.
And to be clear, the 450 is the long.
The 450 is the long.
So you've never ridden the 29er in the short?
I did like one day and I felt terrible in Verbier and I just put it back into the long. So maybe like my bike being a bit shorter now is making the 29er more maneuverable for me. Maybe.
So is that episode 2? Chainstay length?
Yeah. I'm gonna do one run now, Mullet. I'm gonna go back to Mullet. Remi's gonna go back to medium. You can pick up free lap cones.
Yeah, cool.
Lap number 5, back on the Mullet. Probably have food on my face.
It's okay.
Alright, just finished 5 laps of FTP and I'm confused. So my last lap I went back to Mullet it felt sloppy. Like, I felt like I was overturning out of all the turns, and I felt like I was making mistakes, and I felt like I was pushing a little bit harder to kind of like make up for those mistakes. But it's interesting because I actually had my fastest top split on that lap. It wasn't my fastest time. It was the same as my run before on the 29er, but I had my best ever top split on that track, on that run. I was 102, and before that 103 was the best. But what I think today helped me, because honestly I'd kind of written off a full 29er until today, just because I've really been enjoying the mullet, and like in my mind it was so much better like when I made that initial change. But now that I've modified my bike a bit more, I was really surprised at actually how good I felt on the 29er. So I don't know what my next move is, to be honest. I think I'm just going to start riding both a little bit more and see how I feel.
Maybe go to a steeper, faster track.
Yeah,
just do another testing day.
I think I'd like to do more timing on a track that has like pretty different terrain, and just see what the times say. Because I wasn't uncomfortable on the 29er enough for me to rule it out, and I was riding, my times were just as good kind of thing. Maybe more effort on the mullet. Like, I definitely felt like I was way more, like, had to push it a bit more. And so that would be interesting on a longer track, because on a minute 30, you can't really tell, you're not getting tired enough for that to really affect you. So say, like, double, triple the length of the track, and if I am having to work, like, harder on the mullet to kind of have that same time.
Was that to move the bike around or to carry
my
speed? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely still, like, easy to, like, turn. I felt like I could like rail some of the turns, but just definitely trying to maintain your speed through those bumpy, flatty things definitely didn't feel quite as easy on the mullet.
More testing needed. Is that a good thing?
I think so. So this is what I gotta do. I gotta test on a different track that's a little bit steeper, maybe faster, and I want to see the differences, and then I want to test the chainstay length. I'm currently in short, and I don't know if I love it. So, mullet, fun, sick, rail corners. Maybe didn't carry my speed as well on the flatter, bumpier things. 29er maybe felt a little bit more effortless. Perhaps we already knew that though, but I had to find out for myself. So, more testing needed. Different track, different day. We'll see you there. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what to try. Tell me what to do, please, actually. Just tell me. It's easier.